Hello everyone, welcome to the 12 days of Christmas. Christmas has always been my absolute favorite time of year. Although it doesn't really get cold here that often, I still enjoy it because it's a time for family to get together. Let's get into what you'll need to follow along. Of course, you're going to need a pencil, eraser, watercolor paper, watercolor paint, a brush. For watercolor paper, I'm using 100% cotton cold pressed paper, and I am cutting them to postcard size. For paints, I'm using Holbein artist grade watercolor paints. Throughout each video, I will be labeling what paint I'm using at that time. For a paintbrush, I'm just using a small round. This is a number 4. Of course, you'll also need 2 cups of water, one for clean and one for dirty. Optional is paper tape and a clipboard. Additionally, I will be putting all the outlines on Patreon for download. So if you want to support me, you can go over to my Patreon and sign up as a member. Then you'll get all the outlines at the same time as the video comes out. All right, thank you so much. Let's get into painting. Hello everyone, welcome to day 6. We made it halfway through the 12 days of Christmas. I'm so excited that I have made it this far. It has been a challenge for me as well. So today we're painting this really small reindeer ornament. In some of the middle paintings, I tried to do something a little bit easier. We are using our browns, yellow ochre, burnt umber, red for the ribbon, and to change it up a bit, we're going to use composite blue, which is a light blue, instead of Prussian blue, which is the dark blue that we've been using. Getting some water and activating our yellow ochre. Once again, yellow ochre is a little bit too yellow, and then burnt umber is a little bit too brown. So let's mix the two together. And we're just going to paint over everything, a light wash. Okay, great. And as you can see, we have this kind of wood texture. So we're going to grab burnt umber, and the same as what we did with the star, just going to drop it in, but we're going to start making those kind of streaky lines that we see the wood making. That makes the underpainting just a little bit more interesting. All right, while it's still wet, we'll take some of that red and just paint over. I know that it's wet and it's going to bleed in there, but that's okay. Sometimes I want to have these kind of happy accidents. Makes it look a bit more interesting. But if you don't like it, you can just clean off your brush, kind of swipe it out a little bit. Still wet, but let's go in one more time with a slightly more saturated burnt umber and try to get some of those streaks again. When it dries, it will dry lighter, so it might seem like, oh, it's way too dark now, but don't worry. When it dries off, it will be a lot lighter. All right, I think that is the first layer done. Let me just blend it a little bit. Don't really like some of those cauliflowering things we're getting, but you know, it's wood texture, so it should look a little bit messy. All right, let's try this off and get into the second layer. Great, with it completely dry to the touch, we're moving on to the second layer. Let's activate our yellow. Once again, we're going to do yellow ochre and burnt umber mix. This time, we're going to just kind of drop it in, make it look a little bit splotchy. This is adding to that texture. So we drop it in, and then with clear water, we will smooth it out over everything. Okay, so while we're waiting for that part to dry, we're going to activate our blue. Watery wash, and we're going to touch the surface of the table, trying to make that contact shadow. There we go. Right over here. But we don't want it to be so flat. So I'm taking clear water and smoothing it out to the paper. Let's take a darker bit of blue, drop that in. Okay, kind of blend it out a bit. So this was still wet and getting kind of messy. So I take a damp brush, kind of scrub out. But at the same time, I don't want to be too precious. I want this to look a little bit messy and fun. Okay, with that done, we're going to dry it off again and move on to the third layer. We're going to be painting those bits that are a bit darker. So for the darkest part, we're just going to take burnt umber on its own and go over all the darker bits. Hope it to look a bit 3D. This part here is quite light, so I'm actually going to leave that. I'm going to paint it down here. Up in here. And the horns. So now let's go in with a slightly watery wash. I'm going to try to draw some of those streaks of the wood that we see. There's a streak here that's pretty obvious. And then it kind of goes down and it kind of streaks like this here. This part is obviously dark. See these streaks here. Let's go on to the ribbon and paint a slightly darker wash just right where it's coming out of that hole there, and a little bit over here, be where they touch, just to make that part a bit more interesting. We also forgot to give the ribbon a shadow, so let's do that now. Your brush, use some clear water. Alright, so since we didn't paint with a lot of paint, it should be pretty much dry at this point, but I just feel like those shadows are not dark enough. So we're going to grab black, mix it in with burnt umber to make that brown just a little bit darker. And we're going to go in on some areas that need more contrast. Kind of here where the two parts connect. A little bit darker there. And down here. This is still a little bit wet, but it's okay. This part's right here. A lot darker. Okay, I do think that looks really cute, but something about the blue and brown is just a little bit like it feels a little bit mismatched. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put down clear water all around where the blue is. Maybe a little bit up here. And what I'm going to do is take yellow ochre. That's right, it's not mixed with burnt umber. It's just straight up yellow ochre. And just dab a little bit in the background to sort of merge the two colors together. It is very light. You don't want to go in too dark with this. All right, I think that's done. I really like the reindeer. I'm not that happy with the background, but I think that's okay. We're going to just leave it as it is. Sometimes when it dries, it also looks nicer. Let's just leave it, and we're done for day 6.